Hello, everyone. We're sitting down today with KSHB 41 morning news anchor Taylor Hemness. Taylor, you have done a lot of great work on this three-part series on this anniversary of this fatal fire here in the Kansas City area. And as you know firsthand, I mean, this impacted more than just the department. This impacted the entire community. So really, I just kind of want to start with, how did you even stumble upon this story and your process of telling it? How did you get here and bringing it to us and to viewers, really?
Well, first off, thank you for the kind words. It was obviously a lot of people that work to put something like this on the air, multiple photographers, multiple editors that it takes to put something on this on TV. So thank you for saying that. There was a lot of people that worked really hard. Stumble upon is actually an accurate way to describe it, because this is a fire that happened in 2015. I didn't move to Kansas City until 2017, right? 18? I've lost track. 2017. My co-anchor Lindsay Shively is going, yes, that. I'll be here 8 years, but this year, but didn't live here when the fire happened. And I had a viewer reach out to me at the end of April, actually, and he said, I watch you guys all the time. I have an idea for a story as we approach the 10th anniversary of 2 firefighter deaths from a collapsed building. And that was the first I had ever heard of it, which is probably a flaw on my part. I should have been more aware of it prior to somebody reaching out and telling me about it. But, I told this person I'd love to hear what their story idea was. And the pitch they kind of threw to me originally was, you need to talk about the survivors, because as we talked about in the story, and as people that live in Kansas City at the time of the fire likely remember, there was a lot of coverage dedicated to the families of the 2 men who died. It's always a big event when a first responder dies, when we're thinking about a news perspective anyway. That's always obviously something we're going to cover a lot. And that happened a lot in 2015. We were there for live funerals and watching over the procession and that kind of thing for 2 men who died and who had young families. They were Kansas City natives. Just tragic. But the point of this viewer reaching out was he was a friend of one of the firefighters, one of the 2 firefighters who was injured so badly in that fire that they couldn't fight fires anymore. They had to retire because of the injuries. Because if you haven't seen the stories, there was the fire, and then all the 4 firefighters that were hit were because a wall collapsed on the side of the building, and they were standing in an alleyway where that wall came down. It killed 2 of them, and 2 of them were hurt so badly they couldn't fight fires anymore. And this viewer reached out and said, I think you ought to talk about survivors and what that looks like for people who have been through something like that but did not die, and therefore maybe didn't get recognition, is not the right word, but the name awareness for all of Kansas City. I've since learned that the names John Mesh and Larry Leggio were pretty well known in Kansas City for good reasons. They were talked about so much, the 2 men who died in that fire, but the 2 men who were injured badly in that fire maybe were not as talked about. And that was the point of him reaching out and saying, I watch you all the time. I think you ought to look into this and do a story that lets people know how people who survive something like that, what their story sounds like afterward.
I mean, even as you just described there's just so many, impacts. There's a lot of name recognition, as you said. So how did you even decide when doing a 3-part series? Obviously, as you and I both well know, that's not always something we get to do
Right.
in this industry. A lot of it is something day of, day turn. So how do you decide how to separate this into parts so that, each person and each aspect really gets its fair amount of light?
Yeah. So much of that comes from, as you well know, who you can talk to. And so I kind of started on this summer of finding the people who were involved and trying to reach out via social media, or from that viewer, I had a phone number for one of the guys who had survived that I ended up doing the story on, Chris Anderson, and just trying to make contact to see who's going to talk to you for this particular story. Before I had an interview with Chris. The story is actually he lives in another state now, but it was a Zoom interview. But before that even happened, I had an hour-and-a-half conversation with him and his wife just over the phone, talking through this and talking about what I'd like to talk about and what they want to talk about. And then in addition to that, reaching out obviously to the families of those who lost firefighters, John Mesh and Larry Leggio. I was not able to make contact with the widow of Larry Leggio. I reached out several times on social media, but didn't hear back from her for a long time. Did hear back from one of the daughters of John Mesh. And so it's just figuring out one, okay, who's going to talk to you to tell the stories. And then I reached out to the fire department just to see what they might be willing to do. And they were interested in talking about changes since then. And so obviously with something like this and scope like this, we could have done, I mean, fill in the blank number of stories if we'd wanted to. But we settled on 3. And my kind of pitch to my news director and producers was, I think that one story should be obviously about where we are 10 years later for someone who lost someone. And in this case, it was the Mesh family. And I think that we should, that original pitch from the viewer, I want to tell a survivor's story. And he is willing to talk to me. And actually there, as I mentioned earlier, there are 2 survivors from this fire that had to retire because of their injuries. And I had talked to both of them. And originally I thought they might both be willing to take part in the story. The other firefighter who was injured, his name is Dan Werner. He, after some phone calls and some conversations, decided that he did not want to take part in the story. He has a statement that's part of the story you can find on my web story on our website, kshb.com. But once I realized that Chris Anderson and his wife were willing to talk to me, I was very much interested in telling a survivor's story. And then from the fire department's perspective of, okay, this was a massive thing. You lose 2 firefighters in one night, and not in a fire necessarily, but standing outside the building and the building falls on top of them. What kind of lessons do you learn from that? So trying to kind of put the focus on those 3 stories felt like it made the most sense to me and to our team here at 41. And so that's what we settled on doing. And I'm happy with how it turned out as far as covering bases 10 years later. There are any number of stories we could have told, honestly, but from as far as an impact, but that felt the most natural to tell those 3 stories that way.
And speaking of some of those lessons, I mean, what are the takeaways you got from talking to these people who have lived through something, quite frankly, just so awful and unimaginable?
Yeah. The biggest, honestly, the most impact to me, and there were impacts at every turn, but Chris Anderson's story was eye-opening is not the right word, but to hear someone who has been through something like that and survived something like that, but lost so much because of that. And to really think about, just from a person standpoint, about the difference for one family for who lost someone who died versus the difference for another family who, okay, he lived, he survived, but look at what it has done to their life. And to think about a survivor story from a different standpoint and think about what all that term means, I think was really eye-opening for me. And obviously for good reason, as I mentioned earlier, when we lose a first responder, especially, and unfortunately already this year, we've had multiple that we've covered here in Kansas City, of police officers and the paramedic who was killed earlier this year. There's been too many, any number is too many, but we, for good reason, focus on them and their lives. And here's what this was. But a situation like this in which somebody survived something so awful and had a massive impact on his life was really powerful for me to hear, and I hope retell in a way that makes sense to the viewer and does a service to Chris and Heather Anderson, and just the ability to talk with people. I've found in my career, I actually kind of like telling anniversary stories. I've done several of, okay, here we are this many years later. And, I sat down with John Mesh's daughters. He has 4. I sat down with 3 of them. The 4th, people were asking about where's the 4th daughter. She has the only one with young children. So she was busy with toddlers at home and couldn't take part. But as a dad of 3 boys, to sit down with 3 daughters and talk about losing their dad, and the youngest was 10 years old. I have twin 11-year-olds. And to hear them talk about, like, their memories of losing him at 10, and now she's 20, and the other 2 they're 26 and 27 now, but we're in their teens, obviously, when it happened. I don't know, it sounds odd to say, but as a dad, listening to children talking about losing a dad and how it has changed their life now as adults was powerful for me. to be able to take part in. I'm so thankful to the Mesh family for sharing those insights with me. And then just on that third story, to go through, I mean, I'm not an investigative reporter. I don't necessarily do a lot of that reporting, but there's a 75 plus page report on this fire that I kind of, you know, it was my family and I were driving back from Oklahoma one weekend a few weeks back when I got this report, and I'm just sitting in the passenger seat with a highlighter going through things that I thought were interesting or worth looking into, and there were so many things about that I got a chance to talk with the fire department, and you know, it never occurred to me prior to doing the story how much a firefighter has to know about what a building is made up of or how it's constructed whenever they're going to put out a fire there. That it I had this very, very overly simplistic thought of see fire, put out fire. Let me put water on this fire to put it out. And there's so much more that I quite frankly should have been more aware of that firefighters deal with and have to factor in when they're fighting a fire. And this, you know, kind of changed the way of making sure, all right, building construction has to be a class that firefighters go through whenever they're promoted to battalion chief or chief, so that they understand, okay, when we go fight this fire, here's what it's made of. Here's when it was built. Here's how they did this whenever they built this. Here's what, because it's built out of this means this. And I'm just saying it now to you is kind of a, well, no kidding, Taylor, moment that I really should have factored in before. I've covered lots of fires and interviewed lots of firefighters, but that really hit me in a different way covering this story of the amount of built-in knowledge a firefighter has to carry into a situation, and then, oh, by the way, thrust himself or herself into a life-threatening situation and carry all that information with them while they're doing it. It's not just putting out a fire. It's understanding everything about that fire before you step in. That was eye-opening to me. So all three of those lessons, every one of us in journalism, I think, hopes to learn something about the human condition or about something we didn't know about before we did a story. And that was true on multiple fronts for me this time around.
I think that's exactly what you were able to provide to us, to the audience, to viewers, to people who did or didn't know anything about this. I think some of those lessons definitely really have shown through your work. So
thank you. And I want to shout out specific names of people like Chase Lucas and Chris Morrison and Jonathan Godey, Steve Silvestri that recorded some of these images and interviews and then put them together so beautifully in the editing process. It takes a lot of hands to put together. You know, one story was 6 minutes long. This was altogether like 15 minutes worth of television news just from the stories themselves, the video parts of the stories, and that takes a lot of people to work through. So I really appreciate all of them helping tell the story the way it deserved to be told.
It's a village around here.
Yeah.
Taylor Hemness, thank you so much for speaking about this and all three parts. You can rewatch on kshb.com.
Thank you.